Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing a stretch video. So we're going to be stretching pretty much the whole body. It's a nice flow sequence, will help you relax, help you stretch out your muscles if you've been doing a lot of workouts lately, and just really get your muscles lengthened, and hopefully you can relax throughout the workout. So we're just going to start in the center. So we're going to start with our feet nice and wide. So this is a really slow workout, so I want you to take this at your own pace, really ease into all the stretches. If you need to pause the video at any moment and maybe hold a stretch a little bit longer if you feel it really feels good for your body, please feel free to do that. Otherwise, let's get started. So we're going to take our feet quite a wide stance apart, so further than hip width apart. We're just going to start by taking one big deep breath in, reaching up nice and high. We're going to exhale, fold forward, dropping our head, neck and shoulders, coming all the way down to the floor. So sinking forward, I want you to try and lengthen through the back of the legs. If you do need a little bend in the knee, that's okay. Otherwise, try and lengthen through the back of the legs. If you can get your hands down onto the floor, that's fantastic. Let your head, neck and shoulders soften. If you want, you can pop both hands in your elbows. Let your shoulders release, your head release. And we're just going to hang here. Just little pendulum movements, swaying from side to side and just sinking forward into that stretch. So we want to feel this through the back of the legs. We want to let our head, neck and shoulders go. If you want to drop your hands, you can at any point. If you can put your hands flat on the floor, that's fantastic. Reaching down, stretching through the back of the legs. So we're going to start walking our hands to our left side to begin with, reaching down one side of our body. Again, not having any pressure through our shoulders or our head, just sinking down into that stretch. We're going to walk now to the other side, stretching down the other side of our body. That's it, sinking forward. So if you want to sink a little bit deeper in that stretch, a good way to do it is take one big inhale. On the exhale, sink a little bit lower. That's it. We're going to come back to the center now. We're going to roll all the way up, stacking our vertebrae one on top of each other. Roll those shoulders down and back. So we're going to take our arms out to the side now, nice and wide through the shoulders. We're going to reach over to our left side, stretching down one side of our body. Come back to the center, reaching to the other side, stretching down the other side of our body. And coming back to the center. This time we're going to reach to one side. We're going to turn, create a nice flat back. We're going to drop our hand down to our feet, let our head, neck and shoulders soften, then we're going to walk our hands to the center. We're going to swap sides, drop our hands down to the feet, come up nice flat back, and reaching over again, that's it. Coming back to the center, we're going to do that movement again. So let's reach over nice and long. Come down, nice flat back. Let's drop down to our toes, let our head, neck and shoulders soften. Walk our hands to the center. Walk our hands to the other side. Reach out nice and long, nice flat back. Turning to the side and coming on up. Good job. Roll those shoulders down and back. Nice big movements, that's it. We're going to come forward now, tucking our head down. We're going to roll down again. So let's tuck our chin in, rolling down nice and slowly, one vertebrae at a time. Last thing to come down is our head. And we're going to walk our hands forward. So we're going to come forward into a downward dog stretch. I want you to think about having your fingers spread nice and wide apart. I want you to press your shoulders away from your ears. Press your heels down into the mat. Open up through the shoulders. So really tilt that sit bone up towards the ceiling. Heels go down into the floor. We're going to start by extending our left leg up. Open through the hips. Reaching up nice and high. Coming back down, alternating sides. So we're extending, opening through the hips and coming back down, alternating sides again. Opening up, coming back to the center. Let's swap sides again, good job. And coming back to the middle. We're going to drop down onto our knees now. I want you to put your toes together. Spread your knees nice and far apart, and we're going to sit back into a shell stretch. So reaching out nice and long. Sitting back, stretching through the upper body, stretching through the hips. Let's walk our hands to the left side, reach down one side of our body. That's it, good job. And walking our hands to the other side and stretching down one side of our body again. Reaching out nice and long. Coming back to the center and coming on up. Good job. Sitting on up now, we're going to extend our left leg forward. So starting with our left leg, I want you to tuck your tailbone under, elongate through that hip flexor. So I want you to think about squeeze your bottom, pulling through that hip flexor. That's it. So I want you to squeeze and release your glutes. Squeeze and release. So each time you squeeze, I want you to feel that lengthening through the hip flexor. So squeeze and release. That's it. Squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. Good job. I'm going to get you to reach your arm in the opposite direction now, and we're going to sink a little bit further into that stretch, reaching in the opposite direction. Still feel that elongating through the hip flexor, reaching nice and long. When you're ready, coming back to the center. I'm going to get you to keep this leg flat on the floor. This time I'm going to get you to bring your hands down, extend your back leg. So I'm going to turn away from you for a moment. Should have started with the other leg. But what I'm going to get you to do is pop your left hand inside your left foot, so next to your left foot. You're going to extend your arm up to the ceiling, open through the hip flexor. So really open through the chest, open through the hips, extending through the spine, stretching through that hip flexor. That's it. Opening nice and wide. Good job. And holding it there. It's a lovely stretch, stretching through the whole body. And we're going to come back to the front, drop our knee, and we're going to swap over to the other side. So let's extend our right leg now, starting with our hip flexor. So we're going to lift through the hip flexor and release. So squeeze your bottom, feel that elongating, and release. Squeeze the glute, elongate through the hip flexor, that's it. Still having our body nice and tall, rolling those shoulders down and back, that's it. Squeeze and release, good job. Squeeze and release, good job. Let's lift up through the hip flexor, elongating. We're going to sink a little bit deeper into that stretch, reach out nice and long in the opposite direction. Good job, and holding it there. When you're ready, we're going to come back to the center. We're going to keep that right foot on the floor. Extend our back knee. So a nice deep stretch. We're going to bring our right hand now down next to our right foot. If you can have your hand flat on the floor, that's okay. That's great. If you need to hold your fingertips there, that's fine. And then we're going to open up through the chest. So a nice big reach, opening up through the hips, rinsing that spine, so really twisting that spine, extending, opening through the chest. Good job. And we're holding it here, opening up through the hip flexors, that's it. Nice big reach before we come back to the center. Good job. Dropping both knees now. Okay, we're going to come again back to the middle. So we're going to continue by really opening up those hip flexors. I'm going to get you to extend your left leg out to the side, keep that right knee bent, and we're going to come down onto our elbows and just hold there, sinking through the hips. Continuing to open up our hip flexors, stretching those inner thighs, stretching down the middle of our leg. And when you're ready, coming back to the center, we're going to swap over to the other side. Extending our leg nice and long, coming down onto our elbows, that's it. Stretching through that hip flexor. If anybody finds that they have any hip issues or hip problems, hip mobility issues, this is great to kind of stretch out your hips, but make sure you take each stretch nice and slowly, just so you don't force yourself into any position that might hurt you. But it is great for hip mobility, lengthening the legs, stretching through the hip flexors. Great if you work at an office every day and you find your hips are quite tight, but just make sure you take it nice and slowly. Okay, coming back to the center, good job. So I'm going to get you again, we're going to extend our left leg forward. We're going to elongate again through our hip flexor, so squeeze our bottom. This time I'm going to get you to grab your back foot. So it can be a little bit tricky. If you do this in front of a wall, you can pop your hand on a wall and hold that position. But we're going to stretch, this will stretch our quads as well. So I want you to feel like you're lifting up through the hip, stretching your quads, that's it. And holding that position there. It can be tricky with balance, so if you do need to hold on to something, you absolutely can. And we're stretching out our quads there, good job. Holding it here. If you need to pop a pad under your knee, that's absolutely fine as well. It may mess with your balance a little bit, but if you find that your knees are sensitive, pressing into the floor, you can do that, that's fine. All right, we're gonna let go of that knee. We're gonna bend this front leg now, come down into a pigeon stretch. So bend that front knee, coming down onto our elbows, sinking in, stretching out our glutes. And just taking a few deep breaths in there. If you feel it's nice to kind of rock back and forth, you can, that's absolutely fine. And coming on up, good job. Okay, swapping over to that other side now. So let's have that right leg in front. Let's tuck our tailbone, elongate through the hip flexor. You're gonna grab your back foot and just pulling up nice and tall. So feel like you're lifting through the chest, elongating through the hip flexor, all the way from your quad through up to the hip flexor and holding it there. If you need to hold on to something, a wall, a table, something to stabilize you can. And if you do need to pop something under your knee, that's absolutely fine. We're holding it there for a little bit longer. Good job. Stretch that quad, lift up through the hip flexor. Feel yourself almost like you're being stretched from the top of your head. You're nice and tall. And let's release, good job. Let's bend that leg now, coming down into a pigeon stretch, coming onto our elbows. And just taking a few deep breaths there. If you want to rock back and forth, you can. And coming back to the center. This time we're going to roll over. Extend our feet in front of us. I want you to flex your feet. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring your hands up to the ceiling. I want you to sit up nice and tall. Roll those shoulders down and back. We're going to reach forward. If you can, I want you to try and grab your toes. And we're going to hold onto our toes. If you can't, just reaching until you can is fine. But I want you to think about your upper body. So I don't want you hunching like this. I want you to roll your shoulders down and back. Sit up nice and tall. Feel like you're hinging rather than curling. So we're going to hinge forward, grab onto our toes, and we're going to hold it there. So nice and straight through the upper body and stretching through the back of our legs. That's it. Good job. Taking a few deep breaths in there. So what you can do is take a nice big deep breath in and exhale. Try and sink a little bit further forward. That's it. Good job. Holding that stretch. Let's take a nice big deep breath in. And exhale, sink a little bit further forward again. Stretching out the back of our calves, back of our quads, back of our hamstrings, through the ankles, that's it. Reach out nice and long and coming on up, good job. Just finishing off, we're gonna bring our feet together, drop our knees out to the side, just bounce those knees nice and wide. If you want, you can pop your elbows into your knees. Again, keep your chest nice and high. We're gonna sit forward, pressing down into that stretch. Roll those shoulders down and back, trying to press those knees down into the floor. Take a big deep breath in there and exhale, sink a little bit further forward. That's it, good job. Take another deep breath in, exhale, sink a bit further forward. That's it. Press those knees down, coming back on up. I'm going to get you to swivel your feet back behind you. We're going to finish off pressing back into a downward dog, open through the chest, shoulders away from the ears, heels are down in towards the floor. Let's walk our hands in towards our feet, letting our head, neck and shoulders soften. And slowly we're going to roll up, stack our vertebrae one at a time. Last thing to come up is our head, and we're going to roll our shoulders down and back. That's it, nice big movements through the shoulders, pressing them down and back. And hopefully we can keep our shoulders there for the rest of the day. Good job, well done everyone. I hope you enjoyed that. That was a great workout, stretch workout to do maybe at the end of any of our other videos, maybe a video where you've worked your glutes, your legs. That's a great way to kind of stretch and relax. If you want, this is a great workout. Stretching is great to do after a shower, so when your body's really warm, you'll find that you'll be really nice and loose and long. So if you are nice and warm after a shower, stretching is a great thing to do. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.